Hello there, this is Rebecca Villarreal of RebeccaInspiresNow.com doing a broadcast from the beach. I wanted to check in because I'm doing some reflecting both alone and with some of my creative and mystical cohorts, individuals whom I trust. And I went through a really powerful process in the last 24 hours thanks to my mentor, Lindsay Para, and part of it was reflecting on, sort of what the magic was that came in the last year, and also the messy, hard parts. And what I found was that the trauma and grief from the evacuations around this time last year, when I reflected on it, it just created a lot of pain. And then I was able to suss out so much of the magic. And that included enormous kindness that came forward through people we knew and people we didn't know, making new friends, having a new amazing career pathway open for my husband, thanks to one of our new friends during evacuation. I have today off, but I'm also doing a little bit of work, including evaluations. And I'm turning around so you can see the beautiful ocean. And there have been some wonderful dolphins coming by and saying hi. And the reason I'm sharing this is because one thing I learned through that grief and trauma is that I do not give enough space for grief. So I let myself release, cry, process only so far, and then I close the container and I move on to management and gratitude and all those things. And one powerful lesson I learned from one of the trauma therapists that did a part of a day of healing here in my town was you basically take this hand and stick it under here and your other hand, and you kind of sink into that almost like a hug to yourself. But what happens is that something that happens in your body allows for a kind of release. And when you really let it go, boy, it actually cleans out your body. And I also did craniosacral therapy, which I was always curious about. And that's kind of a gentle, I don't truly understand it. And I purposefully knew intuitively I wanted to try it, but I didn't do all the Google research and everything because I just wanted to go and experience it. And I was very fortunate because one of my fellow mystics practices, she's a certified practitioner. She's amazing. And it's not really like massage, but they kind of touch different parts of your neck, head area, shoulder blade for me, and then in my case, under my feet. I'm sure there's other ways that it happens. Sit back down on my beautiful giant. This is all most likely leftovers from last year, from the mudslides. Whoops, and there's even a burned log below me. So can you see that? Yeah. And that's from the fires. And I guess the reason I'm sharing this is that released a lot of trauma and grief that was stuck in my body. And you don't know what's stuck in your body. So to the extent that you can even do that little sinking down into process some grief, actually schedule some time rather than always numbing. I'm not saying you're doing this, but I know I really enjoy numbing and binging Netflix and the like. And there's nothing wrong with that for enjoyment. There's also value in just knowing you need to connect with nature. Like this badass pelican. See if you can see. He's swooping down. Oh, man. I hope I'm doing that right. So I wanted to share that with you, and then also invite you, as you come in to reflect and start your new year, to go gently with yourself. My mentor said to pacing ourselves is a big thing for 2019. And I have a theme word. I don't always pick a word of the year, but mine is gardener. And that's the literal part and the figurative part. And gardening takes patience and work, and there are harvests, there are fallow periods, and obviously connection to nature. So I really wanted to share that with you, and then some. I'm also doing Danielle Laporte's, I've done this for years, core desired feelings, where you figure out how you want to feel for the year, and that can help lead some of your goal setting. So if you find yourself saying, I'm tired, I'm exhausted all the time. One year I had that soon after I had given birth, and I just changed my word to energized. And I, every day, as much as possible, said and wrote down that I feel energized just for myself. And ended up that was the year that I ran more than half the Chicago Marathon, even through an injury. So think about and feel into both what you want to say goodbye to and bless and say thank you. So for me, I bless and said thank you, even for the evacuations and trauma, because we were safe. We had new and beautiful people come into our lives. I saw things that I'd wanted to see. I walked labyrinths as part of book 2, which is really important for the sequel to my novel. And, you know, I felt and feel my heart has opened in a way that it wasn't. And sometimes these kinds of things that you don't wish for, they do crack you open. So with that, one of the metaphors I've been using around learning is relearning life lessons is the spiral, because we often think of things as being linear. So, dang it, haven't I learned this lesson before? When in actuality, this is, it's a spiral, like this beautiful, beautiful shell that I just found. And if you look inside of it, there's all these really amazing colors and nooks and crannies. And what you'll see is, when you think of things as a spiral, when you relearn lessons, you don't have to be hard on yourself. You can be kind and gentle to yourself, because each time you learn them, there's a different depth and appreciation. And one of my biggest challenges is forgiving myself. I have deep programming that says you don't do enough. So that translates to you are not enough. And it feels almost cliche and trite these days to say that or feel that. But it's still sometimes my go-to, like my wiring. And so learning to just slow down, like today, even though I'm supposed to be off and I have a few work things I'm still going to do, I really just sat here and paused, and it's the first time I could take a real walk since my foot surgery. And I know this is a long video, and I don't know how I guess I'll put it on my blog and probably on some social. But for those of you who have time to watch it, I just want to say I see you, and I know what it's like when you're struggling, and I want to assure you that out of that struggle is going to come magnificent natural growth, art. And there are holes here, there are cracks, and there are all kinds of things. This is beauty, and you are beauty, and you are love, and I am love. And I just wish you just a wrap up of this calendar year. And remember, it's just a man-made calendar. If you don't want this to be the end of your year, make it January, make it February. Start your year, as far as renewal later. But just know, as you reflect, you can bless the things that didn't work and look for the gifts that came through them, because there are always gifts in every situation, no matter how hard they are. All right, sending you lots of blessings. If you've waited or watched this long, I thank you, and take care. Bye.